Let's get physical, it's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch, February the 3rd until the 7th. Now, there's not that much going on this week, so we've got a double feature once again. It is this week's games plus upcoming imports. And yeah, there are no retail games this week, but as a reminder, if you want to purchase any retail game, please do so via the links down below in the description and pinned comment. VGP, great company, and if you do purchase something, you get put into a draw with a chance of winning a $10 discount coupon. And this week's winner is Jeremy P. Congratulations, Jeremy. You should get an email from VGP with your discount coupon in the coming days, and I thank you for your support along with everyone else out there. But we gotta move on because we gotta go into the low print limited releases. The last hero of nostalgia is Super Rare's latest game, going up for order on Thursday with just 3,000 copies available on Nintendo Switch and 1,500 copies on PlayStation 5. This includes the main game and the DLC on the cartridge, which is nice. It looks like a pretty cool action adventure game. I really like the theming of this one, but from the trailer I'm not entirely convinced of the combat. It looks very stiff, if I'm being honest, but reviews on the whole are quite positive, so if you want it, be there on Thursday. I don't know if it'll sell out quickly, but don't hang around. Momodora Moonlit Farewell. Well, this has popped up at a good time from Limited Run Games, since yesterday I started working on my Metroidvania list again. Those long videos take a bit of time because I work on them for a little bit, but then I need to move my focus onto something more urgent before going back again, and because they're so long I spend half the time rewriting or adding stuff when more things get announced. Like this one, it's the latest game in the Momodora series, which definitely has a bunch of hardcore fans, probably due to the exceptional pixel art on matters of cleavage. The game is also supposedly very solid too. You can pre-order it on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 5 right now at limitedrungames.com, and my executive producer, Super Ben Julio, has chosen this as his pick of the week. And in Japan, there are no imports this week either, so we're gonna jump straight into the upcoming imports. These are games that we are aware of that are releasing in Japan and Asian regions that are, as far as we know, gonna be exclusive to those regions, and unless otherwise stated, all of them do have English on the cartridge and so are ripe for importing for your Nintendo Switch collection. And if you want to pre-order any of them, of course the links are all down below. If you pre-order from PlayAsia, you can get 5% off with the code Jordan2025, but also VGP are dipping their toes into some imports once in a while, so I've also linked VGP down there too. You can't get a discount from that, but as I said, you do get put into a draw to have a chance of winning a discount coupon. So thank you all for your support, and let me tell you, oh my god, this year is shaping up to have a lot of imports. ACA NEOGEO Selection Volume 3 and 4 are two releases I've talked about a lot already, so I'm not going to dwell on them, even though I am very, very excited about them. Across two cartridges, you get 20 Neo Geo games, very eclectic in their nature, but obviously a bit of focus on fighting games. It's just how it is with the Neo Geo. I'm still excited though, and I hope that once these release, we will be getting 5 and 6 following shortly afterwards. And my executive producers, Punky Dooster and Robotech, have chosen these as their pick of the imports. Rusty Rabbit is an action platformer starring a rabbit. I feel like this has been done a few too many times in recent years. I mean, Year of the Rabbit was 2 years ago, guys. It's a bit late to the party. It's being developed by Nitro Plus, who are more known for their erotic visual novels, and published by NetEase. Apparently, it's a Metroidvania, according to some sources, and it looks alright. I'm not sure on the art style, but maybe it's better in motion when you're playing it. Maybe you don't notice it as much. It's releasing in April, and my executive producer, Offone, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Super Technos World, River City, and Technos Arcade Classics is another retro collection I'm really looking forward to. I'm a simple guy. Retro collection, obscure but decent games, Translated to English for the first time, Where Do I Sign My Name and Do You Have a Spare Knife to Draw My Blood? This features 12 Technos games, many of them in the Kunio-kun franchise, and 10 of them will have English, most of them for the first time in their history. 2 of them have not been translated, including an RPG, which sucks, but understandable. This includes Super Famicom and arcade releases, and it is different to the previous Kunio-kun collections we've had on the Switch before. Are they all brilliant? Probably not, but I can't wait, and it's releasing at the end of April. Yasha Legend of the Demon Blade is a really interesting import exclusive, an action RPG. Of course, it has a roguelike mechanics, which game doesn't these days, but there are multiple characters with diverse gameplay styles, and it looks glorious. Yes, I am shallow, but I really like the look of this game. It's releasing physically in Japan and Asia at the end of April, and it will have English. There's even an English cover version releasing in Southeast Asia, and my executive producer, Instacritic, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Shikhondo Youkai Rampage is getting a physical release in Japan at the end of May in a standard and collector's edition. It will have English, even though Play Asia don't state that. I double checked, okay, it will have English. This is a return to what was previously a Play Asia exclusive. The game was delisted from the eShop when the publishing rights transferred to another publisher, and this is sort of a re-release with an extra added stage. It's also more expensive than it originally was. The original was like less than 30 bucks. This is almost 40 for some reason. I suppose if you missed the first time, it may be worth picking up, but I don't think the new editions here are anything, to cry over if you already have a standard copy of it. But my executive producer, Wixit, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Wizardry, The 5 Ordeals, is releasing physically this month in Japan with English. It's a dungeon crawling RPG, very old school, very western in its style, but these are popular in Japan. It's entirely possible this will get a physical release in the West due to limited run games or Clear River in Europe, but in case it doesn't, maybe the Japanese version is fine for you. And I really like the Japanese artwork. It looks like a leather book or something. And my executive producer, Jake Vav, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Fuga 1, 2, and 3, Melodies of S.T.A.L.K.E.R are obviously going to be some of the biggest imports of the year when they arrive in May. They will have English and can be bought separately or in a triple pack in a limited edition. These are RPGs, tactical in nature. They look a bit like Advance Wars, but they don't have the map thing going on. There is an emotional story focus and crew management. The second game is supposed to hit you in the feels very hard. And the upcoming third game is very highly anticipated, and I can't wait for this one. And my executive producers Brent McLean, Dane Wilkinson, Josh Foote, Issa, Ghost Bune, Adamantium, Feig, and JCross7776 have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Sonic Wings Reunion. Well, it's been almost 3 decades since we had a game in this series, also known as Aero Fighters. It's releasing at the end of May. Weirdly, there is still no trailer as of yet, but the game will have English. Something to look forward to. Progress Orders is a cheap import exclusive releasing in April. I'm guessing the budget is very low for this one. A dungeon crawling RPG with, I would guess, visual novel style storytelling segments, but I'll know more once I get my hands on it. I'm not expecting it to be great, but I am intrigued. Is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon? Familiar myth. Fulland of Water and Light will be the second physical game of this series on the Switch. I'm still amazed that the West eventually got the first game. Maybe they'll get this one too, but it's unknown at this point. So far, it's just a Japanese and Asian with English. This is releasing there in mid-March, and it's a side-scrolling action take. Reminds me of the Reincarnated as a Slime game from last year. A similar lower budget, but my executive producer, God of Resin, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Night Slasher's Remake. Is anyone excited about this? It may have one of the worst art styles I've ever seen. Granted, a remake of this was never going to have a big budget, but come on, someone must have seen this and thought, maybe not. Anyways, hopefully the gameplay is alright. It's releasing in Japan and Asia physically later this month with English. Meg's Monster is a very positively received JRPG. It's more about the story than the gameplay. You're going to be moved more impressively than the blocks that built the Great Pyramids, at least that's what I've been told. You're going to be moved, you get it? Emotionally and stuff like that. I don't know, it was a terrible analogy. It's quite short as a result, but supposedly well worth the experience. The Japanese edition will have English, and it's releasing at the end of April. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 9 is releasing at the end of March in Japan and Asia, and this contains As Divine Saga, Ghost Sync, Sword of Elpisia. I will never stop laughing at Elpisia. It's a place in Spain, right? Everyone gets drunk there. And Ambition Record. As you probably know, this series is starting to come to the West with Volume 1 releasing this month, but it remains to be seen if it'll ever reach these lofty numbered heights. But my executive producers, the Nemo 6, they and Dave Horworth have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Mika and the Witcher's Mountain. Despite being a Kickstarter physical, it's actually technically a Japanese release, and it's coming to Japanese retail in mid-March. And this is essentially Kiki's delivery service, The Game, which should be wonderful. I don't think it quite reaches those heights of what people dreamed of, at least from reviews that I've seen, but if you want a chill time flying around on a broom, doing menial tasks in a carefree way, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And my executive producers, Cartoon Soren, Azrath, and Thorn Metal Luna have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Everafter Falls is a recently announced import releasing in Asia later this month. It's a lifestyle farming sim that has a small town drama going on. It even has split screen co-op, which is nice. And you know what, despite at first glance it looking like a throwaway title, reviews are good. For some reason there are cards in here though, like what the hell? DreadOut Remastered Collection is a double pack I'm very much looking forward to. This contains 2 games in the DreadOut series. We already have DreadOut 2 physically, worldwide at this point, but this contains the first game as well as a spin-off game called Keepers of the Dark, which is like a boss rush type gameplay thing rather than an atmospheric survival horror. Either way, I can't wait for it when it releases physically in Asian regions at the end of this month. And my executive producer, G Bautista 100, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. S.T.A.L.K.E.R Legends of the Zone Trilogy is probably the biggest disappointment because you'd think this would be huge news to have all 3 games physically on a cartridge, but sadly this is a download required, and I'm pretty sure it's for all 3 games as well. So unless something changes between now and its release at the end of March, it's probably going to be one to pass on, but my executive producer Ethan Blue has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Steam Hearts and Advanced Variable Geo Saturn Tribute is unlikely to have English when it releases in Japan, but I don't think it's necessary to enjoy these 2 arcade-style games that were originally released on the Sega Saturn. One shmup, one fighter, looks a lot of fun, and it's releasing physically at the end of May. The Medical Examination Diary, Teamwork in Paradise, is a double pack of 2 short visual novels that are less about the story and more about the nurses and doctors with giant you-know-whats. Sadly, because it's the Switch version, all the extra naughty stuff and appealing stuff has been taken out, so you're left with more of a tease. But sometimes that's better, right? Some people like the tease. Now, Play Asia do not say it has English, but I've triple checked, and it does have English. It's coming in a standard edition and a collector's edition, which has a bigger price than some of these knockers. And my executive producer, D's Nuts, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Of course he has. Urban Myth Dissolution Center is a brand new VN/episodic adventure game with a very appealing pixel style. It's horror themed and it's a game I'm rather excited about. It's releasing in a couple of weeks, so not long to wait now to see if it lives up to my expectations and the expectations of my executive producers, because Alexander Cato and Lewis K have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Football Manager 2025 is the 3rd physical release of the series on the Switch, and just like the other 2, it's an import exclusive for some reason. Releasing at the end of March for the Switch in Asian regions. Apparently this is the biggest revamp the series has had in a long time, hence why it got pushed back half a year to polish things up. That can be disastrous for a yearly series because now they're always going to be on the back foot, but hopefully it's for the best. And my executive producer, Dave Hustwaite has chosen this as his pick of the imports. TriggerHeart EXELICA Enhanced is getting a release in Japan at the end of April, which is a bit awkward since the base version just got a physical release in the West. I don't think the enhanced editions add too much, an extra character, an opening movie, higher resolution CGs, nothing vital to the actual shooter gameplay aside from some small tweaks and balancing. There is no word on if this has English or not. I would guess not. Nanpure Relax and Classic Seasons Collection is a big bunch of Sudoku games, more Sudoku than you can possibly do in your lifetime. You need not play another game in your life if you have this collection when it lands in late March. You'll be dreaming about numbers all the way up to 9. Love Live, Nijigasaki High School Idol Club, TOKIMEKI Roadmap to the Future is a dating management sim within the Love Live series, which I think has something to do with Yohane the Parhelion. I'm not sure, but it sounds familiar. I'm not sure if they would allow their idols to get banged by an NPC player, so maybe it's not like a proper dating sim, but it's one of those where you have to be in the right place at the right time to grow your bonds and stuff like that. There are not enough games in English like this these days, so I'm interested in seeing what it's all about when it releases at the end of April. The Escape Room Chronicles is a cheap import exclusive coming in a couple of weeks from now and contains 4 games in one. Short puzzle escape room games, the name pretty much gives it away. It's part of the Simple series, which I've always loved the idea of, especially back in the day, so I've always wanted to go through the Simple series on PS2 because they had some crazy games on there, and I wish in 2025 they would go back to that kind of craziness. Snow Bros 2 Special is a remake of the second Snow Bros game. Same game, new unappealing art style. Why is that a trend? Anyways, this doesn't have a Western physical announced at the moment, but it's possible due to the series' history with limited run and Clear River Games in Europe. But yeah, in Asia it's releasing in April. Montezuma's Revenge is one of 2 Play Asia exclusive releases that we're still waiting on pre-orders for. I don't think many people pre-ordered this one, however, since it's one of their worst looking games they've ever done. Again, a remake that has a worse art style than the original. Is there a competency crisis in the artists these days? Anyways, standard and collector's editions are still available. Söldner-X Complete Collection is the second Play Asia exclusive, and it's by far the most interesting of the 2 of them. You get 2 Euro shooters in one package. Yeah, the genre gets a lot of stick from Japanese shmup fans, but you can get enjoyment from these type of games in my opinion, just depends on what you're after. They're different. From Madness with Love is an Otomi VN, but very different from any other that we currently have available on the Switch. The art style is a breath of fresh air when compared to the overly artistic and admittedly beautiful Otomate releases that we're used to, but it's nice to have something different. It's releasing at the end of May, and I enjoy the fact that it's playing off From Russia with Love, which I literally just watched like 2 days ago, and it is a fantastic movie. Ever 17/Never 7 Double Pack is getting an English physical release in Asia in early March. This includes a supposedly great VN as well as a disappointing one, but I'm just going off other people's opinions. There's no official word on a Western physical, but Play Asia do have some placeholders for like European and North Americans, but you're more likely to get solid information by reading the wrinkles on your nan's arse than Play Asia's placeholders. And my executive producers, Ishin, Jennifer M, and Sora Cat have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Ghost Pier Season 1 is a very stylistic visual novel, all sorts of weirdness going on with an episodic story, of course. You're not getting a properly full game, with Season 2 nowhere to be seen at the moment, however most seem to indicate you're still getting a full enough and satisfying story with this one. It's releasing physically in mid-March. Virtual Girl at World's End is an upcoming visual novel, not released prior to this one, so there are no opinions on it, and we will have to wait and see how it is when it's releasing in the summer, so quite a while to go yet. There's obviously a sci-fi theme to this one. The Town of Nie Iramusubi is a recently announced Switch VN. It's a fan disc of the recently released The Town of Nie, which is a BL VN. This promises to have more of the same quality for boy love fans, as it continues both the good and bad endings from the original with multiple endings of its own. Hopefully a happy ending as well. This is releasing in May. Kamitsubaki City Regenerate is an upcoming sci-fi visual novel releasing in March, and again, we have no idea if it's going to be good or not, so I don't have anything to say about it. Love Delivery and Love In Log In is a double pack of VNs, Love Delivery being the main one, and these were made in Korea, supposedly solid dating sims. The big thing of note about this release is the limited collector's edition, which comes with a classy big booby mouse pad. You can whip that out to impress the ladies. Hookah Haze finally has a proper release date. It's coming at the end of March, only in a little collector's edition. I'm looking forward to this one due to the art style and theming. I've talked about this one so many times before. You all know what it's all about, and my executive producer Kevin W does. It's his pick of the imports. A quick mention to Botany Manor, which is out in Asia already, but it's getting a Japanese physical release in a couple of weeks. Whew, that is a lot of imports coming. So now it's time to delve into the community spotlight. Executive producer Adamantium sent in this photo, getting in the special edition of Goblin Slayer, which was exclusive to VGP. They still have stock, surprisingly, considering there are only like 500 copies of it. Andrew R sent in this photo, picking up a bunch of Mario goodness. I think the big question is, what is the Mario game for Switch 2? Is it going to be Mario Maker 3? Odyssey 2? I'm excited to find out. Bunny Bear sent in this photo, picking up so many games. Very happy to see Three Kingdoms 8 up there at the top. Since it's Chinese New Year right now, I've had a bit of free time. I started playing it again, and oh my god, I've got addicted. Executive producer Cartoon Soren sent in this photo with some random games. I think must be from the reprint from Video Games Plus. I actually forgot they did that until I saw this photo. Choco Loco James sent in this photo with the hilarious looking Cho Aniki collection. I'm surprised Limited Run haven't announced their version yet. I'm guessing it will happen rather than knowing anything solid. Executive producer Dave Horwath sent in this photo. I'm surprised at Capcom neglecting Mega Man once again. This was supposedly like a really great comeback if you lived the series, and I think it sold pretty well too. So where's Mega Man 12? Executive producer G Bautista 100 sent in this photo with a bunch of high quality visual novels. The Switch really is the place to be if you like VNs. It will be the GOAT for the genre, I am sure. Executive producer Ghost Bune sent in this photo, getting in a bunch of RPGs, although is Cuisinier an RPG? I think everything is technically an RPG these days, at least it seems like it. Executive producer Instacritic sent in this photo with a wealth of imports, including the quirky release of those games and the Sushi Quad Pack. What a time to be a Switch collector. This is the weird timeline. Executive producer Kevin W sent in this photo, picking up these games from Play Asia. Stellar of the End, another visual novel, but I haven't seen this one as much in the community spotlight. Executive producer Louis K sent in this photo with the Blaster Master Trilogy, which is from Japan. It was a bit rare to get at one point, but it's been reprinted and is now available at Play Asia. Not cheap, but cheaper than Limited Run's individual releases. Makazi 007 sent in this photo, getting in a bunch of Red Art Games releases, no doubt from their recent sale. Always worth waiting for a New Year's sale from those guys, unless it's like a big game, then it might sell out, but the smaller ones, you can just wait. McLaren sent in this photo, showing off the size difference between the Phantom Brave Collector's Edition and Ender Magnolia. That is a big old boy, that must be a big art book inside there. Pab sent in this photo with Dogman, which might be one of the worst looking games I've ever seen. But does it play the worst? I haven't seen anyone's thoughts on it. Maybe it's amazing, who knows? Executive producer Rose sent in this photo of Sympathy Kiss. Now that is an obscure otome. I can't even remember seeing that in this community spotlight before. SpookyBot TV sent in this photo, picking up the Zombies Ghoul Patrol double pack. Zombies Ate My Neighbors is one of the best Super Nintendo games. Such a fun, good co-op time. Executive producer Vei, my man in Japan, sent in this photo with last week's only import exclusive, Vanguard Dia Days 2. It just keeps reminding me that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Collector's Edition is releasing very soon. Looking forward to that one. Alright, let's have a roundup. Carl. Devil Angel. Sake Dup. I Draw Robots. Bomb. Bay 6. Remy X. Vast Neon. Martin. The Enemy Parasite. Needless Dragon. Mickey McFlynn. Kresalak. Alright, please send me your photos on Twitter at SoWhatAboutGame. DM me, okay? Or the email address, physicalparadise@gmail.com, and the Discord. The server link is below. Only one picture per week, guys, okay? As always, special thanks to my executive producers, Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Brent McLean, Alexander Kato, JCross7776, Punky Dooster, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Raven Knight, Thorn Metal Luna, Issa, Vey, Offphone, Instacritic, Precision Plague, Alex M, Feig, Josh Foot, Ishin, Lewis K, Kevin W, Jennifer M, Super Ben Julio, Double Dave, Husway and Horworth, Wixit, Sora Cat, The Nemo 6, Ghost Bune, G Bautista 100, Rose, Adamantium, Azrith, Jake Vav, Ethan Blue, and D's Nuts. If you want to join them, check the Patreon link below as well. It's the final tier, the Let's Get Physical producer role. But if you can't, no worries, just leave a comment down below. What is your pick of the imports? And also, leave me an emoji of something that represents your pick of the week or the pick of the import. So if you want Football Manager, leave a football. Snow Bros 2, leave a snowman. Try to be inventive. And check out some of the other videos I made last week. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Have a fantastic day. Take care.